All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be discussing the next update for God of War Ragnarok. We'll be going over the release date, possible features, and what you should expect from the upcoming update. Now, as you know, God of War Ragnarok is Sony's biggest launch in their entire history, and the good news for its longevity seems to keep on coming. Now, I recently talked about the upcoming PC port, which is not officially confirmed, but it is certainly in development, and there have also been some rumors about a potential DLC expansion for Ragnarok, possibly releasing by early 2024. But in this video, I want to talk about what's coming up very soon for God of War Ragnarok players, and that is the long anticipated New Game Plus update. We're going to go over everything you can expect from this update and mode, and how it's going to factor into potential future plans and for post-launch content and support. Now, just as a little recap, Ragnarok launched at the end of 2022 on the PS4 and PS5, and it was Sony's biggest launch in the company history, reportedly selling 5.1 million copies in its first week, and it remained at the top of UK's top 10 best-selling lists for over 2 months. The game is also reportedly selling more than 80% of its copies on the PlayStation 5, which is a very good sign for Sony's future first-party releases. Now, if that data proves that the majority of people are buying first-party titles on the next-gen platform, it either means that people are buying new consoles for the game, or it means they've already transitioned to the new system. Either way, it means more resources can be put toward PS5 exclusives, and Sony can kind of start thinking about leaving the PlayStation 4 hardware behind for good, which may sound like a bad thing, but if it means developers can focus solely on the PS5 hardware and not have to kneecap themselves just to get it running on past-gen hardware, I think it's ultimately a good thing. Ragnarok is Sony's first real system selling game for the PlayStation 5, and the numbers they're getting are extremely good. Naturally, Sony is going to want to keep Ragnarok relevant as long as possible so it can continue bringing people to the platform, and a great way to do that is with post-launch content and support in the form of a big content update like this New Game Plus update that's releasing. Now, while a true DLC expansion is only rumored right now, Sony Santa Monica has previously added bits and pieces of new content to God of War 2018, and they're about to do it again for Ragnarok. In my previous video, we discussed the news that Sony Santa Monica confirmed that New Game Plus mode is coming with the goal to breathe some new life into the game through a brand new way to play. Along with that, we're expecting some new items and other quality of life features. Santa Monica Studios revealed in a recent tweet that a New Game Plus mode was in the works and it would release in the spring of 2023, which is a little vague, but also perfectly lines up with the recent leaks and rumors. Some insiders have suggested that the update may come out as early as next month, but I really wouldn't get your hopes up about that. The second fiscal quarter doesn't start until April, and if I were a big company like Sony, I would probably consider that to be the best time to release this update. Other leaks and rumors have suggested that the update is going to come out in May, so that would kind of line up with the spring release date as well. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar, New Game Plus is a new kind of game mode for the story mode, where you can bring all of your weapons and upgrades from the end of the game and go back to square one with a bunch of difficulty adjustments. Enemies are often much smarter and stronger right out of the gate, and in a lot of games, by completing the New Game Plus mode, you'll usually get some kind of super rare in-game item to prove just how awesome you are at the game and make the struggles all the more worth it for fans. For instance, you can kind of expect different timings for attacks, different defensive positions, and what feels like kind of a fresh experience for some of the enemies and boss types. Now, Santa Monica Studios hasn't given a full list of everything that will come out with the New Game Plus update, but the previous game's New Game Plus patch was absolutely massive. Now, for those of you that didn't play it, the 2018 version of New Game Plus for God of War would be a restart of the main story, but with all of your equipment, abilities, and upgrades from the end of your previous run. You also get to choose the difficulty you want, so it's not actually the hardest mode in the game, but no matter what difficulty you use, it's going to be much tougher than it would otherwise. For example, medium difficulty in New Game Plus is going to be significantly harder than medium difficulty in the standard game. Enemies are higher level out of the gate and can turn elite much earlier in the game and on lower difficulties than normal. Some enemies even had entirely new attack patterns and behavior, making for a totally fresh experience even if you played the original a dozen times already. Along your journey, you'll have access to a number of new armor sets with completely new abilities, adding a completely new layer to your gameplay style. In exchange, by completing the game on New Game Plus, you can unlock 2 new shields, one at the beginning and one at the end, to show off to your buddies and assert your dominance. Needless to say, the previous New Game Plus patch wasn't just a difficulty mode, and all of the new elements added to the experience were more than welcome. God of War Ragnarok's increased size and scale likely means that its New Game Plus mode is likely going to be even bigger and likely better than the last one, so expect to see just about everything that the previous game had, plus more. I'm personally expecting God of War Ragnarok's New Game Plus mode to feature more rewards than just 2 shields, and the gameplay changes are likely going to be a bit more elaborate since Sony Santa Monica can evolve upon what was already there. Not to mention the fact that Eric Williams himself is kind of gameplay-oriented director, as shown in the gameplay that we got for God of War Ragnarok, so I am guessing that Eric and his team have a lot of stuff planned for this New Game Plus update. Expect to see enemies scaling much earlier, like I said, and using new behaviors. Lower difficulty runs also likely will see higher difficulty mechanics being implemented as a way to make it tougher, and the Give Me God of War mode on New Game Plus will likely be the new ultimate showing of skill within the player base. So how does this all tie into God of War Ragnarok's future? Is this going to be a one-off update like the last game, or is Sony Santa Monica testing the waters for potential DLC? Interestingly, there are some details that surfaced on God of War 2018's post-launch support that may shine a light on what Sony Santa Monica are up to. Now, according to official sources and interviews, God of War 2018 was actually going to have an expansion at some point, and it would have been huge. In fact, it likely would have been big enough to warrant a standalone release like The Last of Us Left Behind or Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. However, Cory Barlog's plans for the expansion were deemed too ambitious due to the fact that it would have had to get a standalone release. Granted, there was no way that Sony knew God of War 2018 was going to be quite the smash success that it was, so they probably would have greenlit a massive DLC if they knew that was going to happen. God of War 2018 far exceeded expectations, so it would have made total sense for Ragnarok to preemptively get the green light for some kind of expansion, regardless of the size. The fact that Santa Monica Studios were previously toying around with the idea of a God of War DLC, and obviously they were going to have that idea again at some point. If Sony Santa Monica wanted to do a DLC, I see no reason why Sony wouldn't want to greenlight it, given the fact that it's an easy way to patch on more relevance to one of the best-selling franchises in your arsenal. Ragnarok once again exceeded expectations for Sony, and since it's going to be a great system seller over the next year or so, it would be an incredible idea to maybe revive that DLC blueprint from 2018. God of War Ragnarok's insane success at the end of 2022 is going to be felt for a long time, thanks to the ongoing success at the sales charts and the addition of a ton of new content, likely bringing in more players to do another run and keep eyes on it. If the New Game Plus update manages to bring a sizable jump in concurrent players and sales, I think it's very likely that Sony starts pushing Santa Monica Studios to finish any ideas for expansions. Friendly reminder that this game sold over 5 million copies in its first week and managed to beat a #1 spot in the UK for over 2 months. Ragnarok is the biggest first-party launch of all time for Sony, and I'm sure they will want to keep that train chugging. Previous expansions and standalone sequels like The Last of Us Left Behind and Uncharted: Lost Legacy were pretty big successes, and they kept best-selling IPs fresh in people's minds. With the next God of War likely going to be another 4 to 5 years out, Sony will likely want to do something to keep people interested in one of 2022's bestsellers, especially whenever it gets its almost guaranteed PC port. Ragnarok's New Game Plus update is likely going to bring a ton of new content to the game, and if the traffic it generates is more than Sony expected for something like this, I give it about a 50 to 60% chance we get some kind of expansion announcement by the end of the summer, or even next year with a possible continuation of the Norse saga in the form of an Atreus standalone game that we've talked about a few times on this channel. But as of right now, New Game Plus mode is going to be added in the spring, likely April or May, and if we're lucky, sometime in March, and hopefully it brings a ton of new and awesome things to do into this already fantastic game, because if this is all we're going to get until God of War 6, Santa Monica Studios will want to make sure that that final version of the game is something that they're proud of. Obviously, they're proud of the way the game launched, but if they had to cut a few corners or had some cool ideas that they didn't make it into the final builds, for instance, making it so Atreus doesn't spoil the puzzle almost immediately, having that changed and other quality of life features like that would be super awesome. And with this New Game Plus update, that would be the best time to add it, since it may be the last time the game gets updated at all. But personally, I'm hoping that this new patch is successful enough to greenlight an official expansion of the game or a Miles Morales type standalone game for God of War, especially due to the fact that some of the theories as to where the story will go from the end of God of War Ragnarok are freaking awesome, and I would love to see them brought to life. Not to mention, there are still a bunch of questions that we all personally have with God of War Ragnarok that I'm sure will be answered eventually, but it almost feels really weird to leave the Norse mythology. While I do think that the way the God of War Ragnarok ended at the current time is in a great spot, but I don't know about you guys, I'm not really ready to leave the Norse mythology just quite yet. So hopefully we get a new expansion or a standalone game with Atreus as the main character, and hopefully this New Game Plus update is everything we all expected it to be, because I for one am ready to play God of War Ragnarok again. And once I do, you already know that I will be using one of my favorite gear pieces from the game, and that is the cloak cloak armor, because that is by far my favorite armor in the game, and I can't wait to use it with New Game Plus. But yeah, guys, that is going to wrap it up with this video. Let me know what you think New Game Plus is going to add to the game. Do you want there to be an expansion or a standalone game with Atreus? Are you okay with the Norse Saga ending? Do you want us to go back to the Norse Saga? Let me know in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on. Don't forget to enter the 100,000 subscriber PS5 giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter, tweet me proof, or I send it to my Discord that you're subscribed. You get a bonus entry for following my Twitch stream as well as joining my Discord, so definitely do that, as well as all of the other social media that I have. The pinned comment has all of the details for you. But yeah, guys, thank you all for watching. This has been Wes, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.